Alright, we're going to start from the character creation screen here on Planetside 2. I'm using the GeoForce experience to record this. You could use the default of Alt-Z to get into this if you have a GeoForce card, and use the record option here to start and stop it, or you can use the default however you set it. I have mine set to Alt-9, Alt-F9. So I'm just using it this way so that you can see how I got in here to do the recording if you don't know how to do the recording. Alright, so here we are. You get to pick your factions, and I have I'm a subscriber, so I have the option of using the NS operatives, which are robots that can when they go into the game they're automatically assigned to one of these three factions in the game, and whenever they change continents, and we'll go into that later, that operative will change whichever faction they're related to. They're basically mercenary forces to balance out the population on the planets so that there are more balanced fighting forces. They'll always go to whatever side, whichever these three factions has the lowest population. Down here you can pick whether or not you want to be male or female, and you pick your appearance of your character in game. Basically the only thing that really shows is your skin color and your face, and it's mostly just a very small area anyway. If you run without a helmet, it'll show your entire head. I'm just going to pick just one, and I'm just going to see if I can get a character name in here real quick. I'm just going to call them new player test. Other people are going to see that name, so they may or may not try to talk to me in regards to this. There'll be some chatter and whatnot, so mainly we're going to disregard that. First, what I'm going to do is just going to go into here. It's going to pick which continent you want to go to. I play on the East Coast, so usually I use the East Coast server. That's Emerald. The West Coast server is Connery. Miller's for the European Union, and Cobalt's another European Union, and Soltec is in Asia. If you can see the ping rates here. My ping rate's highest on this one. I do play some on Soltec and some of the other servers. As you see, I got one on Connery, and I got NC here on Soltec. So you see I'm a little bit NC biased. Currently the server population is on Emerald is balanced. It's showing pretty much balanced. It's showing over here 31% for the NC, so they are undermanned. I'm gonna go ahead and make an NC character. So I think I already picked that back here. No, yeah, pick that. Make a new conglomerate. And go ahead and hit finish. And I'm also picking this because I'm most familiar with these weapons for this set. I'm going to go back here for a second. So basically, when you're in a faction, you have access to their faction specific gear. There's also neutralized NS gear, which all the faction can use. So if in the process of the game you purchase with game cash an NC weapon, then all your characters you create can use it. If you purchase a weapon with for a particular faction, only your characters you create with that particular faction can do it. If you use certs for purchase, which are the main consumable for purchasing gear in the game, then it always only give you the unlock it for that particular character. So I'm going to go in here at the NC conglomerate, and I'm going to pick Emerald, and I'm going to pick Finish. And this is going to send me into the tutorial, I believe. So we're going to go ahead and run through this pretty quick. I got a couple of things that are already pre-unlocked, so they're going to be flashing up the top of the screen. We'll give that a chance to resolve. Alright, so this is basically working like any game does, where you're like moving back and forth using the keys. I am using a Logitech controller, so that looks like a PlayStation 2 controller, and that's always served me well in all the games, so I continue using it. Sorry about that, I forgot which button I had for the crouch. I don't crouch all that much. I tend to run a whole lot in this game. Running makes you go faster, and that's great, but sometimes... So if you go into the settings, there's things you can do in general wise. I use the legacy mode. The legacy mode, you can use your weapons and you'll be running. It just you just kind of you stop and you're going to a walk while you're using the weapon. So I use the legacy sprint. You see I've desensitized some of the stuff. I don't like spinning side to side really rapidly because it disorients me a little bit. So I don't like to be just smacking around real fast while I'm using when I'm changing my perspective on the screen. I like it slowed down some so I can control it better. I guess some people like to have it so you can move it around faster, so they might have a better ability to do headshots or whatever that way. For me, it's easier to just have more control over it, by and large, when playing the game. Okay, they're not going to say anything about this. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so what we got here, there's the capture point. They'll look like this. You gotta have to get up with a certain range of it. Once it does, then this bar is going to show up over your head. See how it's disappearing and coming back up there up on top where it says a training facility amp station. That's where it shows whether you're capturing or not. If if Oh, okay, so we're back over here again. So here's what the capture point looks like. Got that little bar over top that keeps on. You see it coming and going. There it is. So that bar shows you when you have control of the point. If the enemy's in the area, it's gonna have a hard time changing or moving. And so you'll know if there's somebody like stealthing around in the area as a stalker or something, and they're as an infiltrator and they're hiding in the area. While this is being captured, it usually takes longer. Yeah, he's going to keep on yelling at me, trying to make me do what it wants me to do. So anyway, so when you're near this thing, you need to hold it for a certain set amount of time. There'll be a counter timer on the screen where it counts down. While you're near that, you'll be able to get capture points, and we'll show that once we get into the game for guarding it. You'll get it for when capturing it, and you'll get it for guarding it while it's where you're still taking control of a base. And that's one way you can get experience early on in the game when you don't have the best weapons and gear. Okay. So we have different classes here. The infiltrator is basically is your sniper. You can have one. There's different modes depending on the gear that you're wearing that allow you to sneak around invisible for short amounts of distance at a time and use a sniper rifle. And another one that allows you to remain cloaked as long as you're crouching. Or I mean, as long as you're not moving, you'll be able to stay stealth for as long as you want. Light assault has a jetpack on them, which allows them to jump into the air. My favorite use for that is using the drifter jets. That allows you to move faster on the battlefield and gives you longer distance if you're falling out of an aircraft vehicle using it to stay aloft. Engineers are your equipment repair. It'll allow you to repair vehicles, and I'll say this is a medic. So this allows you to heal people. And I'm sorry, I got to try to talk over this AI that won't be quiet. The medic class is the one that allows you to heal people. The engineer is the one that allows you to repair vehicles and gear on the ground. That'll include turrets on bases and terminals. You can repair terminals as well. Heavy assaults are the big bruiser class. They start off with some kind of machine gun, and they start off with rocket launchers, so they're supposed to be able to heavy troopers on the battlefield for dealing with vehicles and for infantry. The max unit, which you have to purchase using nanite resources, which you will accumulate at a rate while you're just playing the game. You don't winning or doing kills or anything don't increase the amount of nanite regeneration. You'll be able to purchase vehicles, and one of these vehicles is this max. Even though it's not on the vehicle terminal, it's on the infantry list. You have to purchase it with nanites. Some of the gear that you have on individual classes, you have to purchase with nanites too. Your grenades, there's always a cost for purchase those. Whenever you resupply, that's going to cost you nanites for your grenades. If you have C4 or any of the different kinds of grenades, that's going to cost. If you slot out in the utility and you pick up the medicine kits, they also cost when nanites when you're playing. So we're going to go ahead and once we get into the game, there'll be less of this yabbering going on. So I apologize all the yabbering from this AI. So we're going to go ahead and pick the combat medic to make it happy. Okay. Okay, so the default queuing button is Q, and that'll pick out your target. Different weapons are going to have different amounts of spread fire on them. Okay, using your number keys, you can switch weapons. I'm going to look down my sights. So your weapon will automatically reload when you run out. Or you can manually reload it whenever you want. That includes all. So that use utility also works when you're on vehicles. You can use it to activate the special ability on a vehicle. And we'll get into vehicles later on. I'll probably do a different video completely about the vehicles. Okay, so you can see that pad on there. If we go out here to the main map, I hit the map screen, this teleporter is going to take us from here over to this teleporter. Usually you're going to be able to tell usually, well, you're not really going to be able to tell sometimes which teleporter is going to move from where to where, but this teleporter I know is going to take me over to here, near where this vehicle pole is, because done this a whole bunch of times. So here it is, and if I wanted to go back, all I have to do is turn around and go back in, and it takes me to where I was before. So U key is for the redeploy. You hit that, you'll use that to redeploy. You can just stop it. You should be able to cancel it. It's not letting me cancel it for whatever reason. I don't know why it didn't let me cancel it. Probably because it's a tutorial. But usually you can just hit that U again and you'll stop it. So we're using the heaviest rocket. And that by and large is true, but tanks can buy flanker armor, which will give them additional armor on the front. They're always more vulnerable in the back, so they take more damage when they take a hit from behind. Okay, so they're talking about that thing over there. We're not even over there yet. So you can also, on the battlefield, near bases and what, usually near a base, you're going to see these kind of terminals. This one is an anti-vehicle one. Down at the bottom of the screen, there's a meter that shows the heat. If you go past that heat level, then it's going to have to have a cooldown period before you use it again. This also works on like the engineer's tool, and I think the medic tool has the same kind of function too. It shouldn't let. Okay, now usually if I was in game, this is just doing this because it's a tutorial. Once it turns red like that, it'll stop and it'll make it cool down all the way before it'll allow you to fire it again. So what you want to do is pace yourself while you're firing it, so that you don't get up there, all the way to the top. You fire fire several times to get it going, so the heat's building up, and then usually it's, for me, I think on the turrets, it's usually about 3 or 4 shots, and then let it cool down for a couple beats, and then 3 or 4 shots, or fire 2, give it a second or 2 to cool down, then fire again. All right, so they're yabbering about this thrust pad up here. There it is. Which is this thing. That's the inertial dampener. Here's the going back. We want to jump back. They're always going to be directed to the same landing area. There's going to be an alternative to going up to a vehicle terminal pull. We'll go into that in a later video. Okay, so the number of nanites you have is listed down here near this icon. This shows you how many nanites you have. It will never go above 750, and it will, if it's 0, you can't purchase anything. When you're at any base and you're one of the main factions, you can purchase anything at a base except for possibly the Vanguard. You have to have control of a tech plant to pull a Vanguard anywhere other than your warp gate. This is with the tech plants are especially important on a continent like Esamir, where there's only one tech plant on the entire continent. So on that continent, it's whoever has the tech plant has a advantage because they can pull main battle tanks from any pull. We're going to go ahead and click the flash to make it stop talking. And it's kind of laying out a path for me to go. In game, there are all these arrows pointing you how to get from one place to another. Okay, so you see up there that it's blue at the top. If it was another faction's color, then it wouldn't allow you to take control over it. I mean, you wouldn't be able to pull ammo from it. You'd have to you have to conquer the base in order to have control of the ammunition terminal for resupply for your forces. All right, so on the map, we should be able, okay, to move it to where you are currently. You can just hit the space bar and then I'll move it. Usually what will happen is that I know that the capture point is here. This is the ammo terminal we were just at. The capture point's going to be in this building. Usually if it was at a base, it would have a marker on it, marking it as what point it is, the A, B, C, D point. There's no bases that are going to have more than 4 points at them. If there's only 1 point at base, it's going to be the A, just an A there. If there's 2 points, there's going to be an A and a B. Whoops, didn't know where that one was. I guess the point's further up in here, but this is for lowering the shield. You see there's a vehicle shield out here outside the gate. Now, as infantry, we can walk. Wow. So usually there's different kinds of vehicle shields. Some vehicle shields will allow infantry to walk through, and other ones won't allow both infantry and yeah. So you can see that trying to do a voiceover on this is being pretty annoying with this AI, but you know I want you to see what's going on. All right, so that's going to count down. There's like a little countdown timer there. And usually it takes more time than this for us to go down. I think it's like a minute or 2 minutes from the go down. All right, it's going to de-res this fence over here. So it's not over here anymore, so we just drive right through it. All right, so here we go. Here's these are going to be located in the warp gates, or like if you're in VR, like right after you come out of spawn tubes, they'll be almost directly in front of you. And at the warp gates, they're going to be either directly in front of you or to one side or the other when you come out. If you turn away from the other warp tubes, then you're going to see it. It's going to be lit up though. It's not going to be dark like this. Okay, I'm going to go straight over to the VR training. I don't have any points on this character. I've just created them. So what this does is it gives you an area to be able to practice things. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the warp to the training terminal. Hopefully it'll stop chattering at me. Okay, so here's the warp terminal again. You can pick where you want to go. These continents are locked. They got the little lock icon. These other continents are open. It'll show you the population level on that continent. This one, the NC, has got a 34%, or sorry, 42%, and Vanu have 34, and the Terran have 24. So I mean, this is pretty basic. A lot of you have done first-person shooters, may have some idea what's going on with this, but most first-person shooters will just throw you into a small assembly of fights where you just have a set number of people there. This is not the case with Planetside. Whoops, I didn't mean to go to Endar. But anyway, I'm here. So we'll look at this real quick and I'll go back to VR. All right, so here we have your terminals again. And I'm going to run up here to get out of the chatter area in case they start talking a lot. All right, so here we are. Here's a continent. We're looking out over it. And looking at the map, the continents are broken down by regions, and you can see this region kind of outlined. If I kind of hovered over it a second there, it says you see this little outline around this area. This is a region, Here's another region, and they're all named. So this one over here is Camp Connery. Here's your warp gate, which is where I'm starting out with. Here's like the J9 impact site. And when the territory gets controlled by another force, it'll change to whatever force will be changed to their color. This one's controlled by the Vanu. This one's controlled by the Terrans. This is a contested area. Now you see these little markers here on the map. These are where people that are running squads are putting down markers to indicate where they want reinforcements. This is an area that they thought they needed people to be in there for an attack. This is a marker saying that they need people to defend. Obviously, if the forces are outnumbered, they're trying to get people in there to defend that area. When you see this little circle lit up around the thing, that's when a base is contested. This is when it's in the process of being taken by the NC forces. Yeah, let's see if we can find one that's fallen, another force is falling. I don't know if show the yeah, you see down here, this one's showing on the bar over here on the right side of the screen. You can see how the red's with a little arrow pointing towards the purple, and it's increasing. That's the Terrans taking control of that Vanu base. Same kind of thing is happening here, where the Vanu have that little small purple bar on the left, moving into the red, which they're working on taking that base from the Terrans. If it has this icon like over here, this flashing over here, that means one of the gates is down at that facility, and it needs to be repaired. It could also be the generator that allows people to spawn at that base that's down. All right, we're going to go back into leave this continent, go back into VR so we can go over to basic equipment and gear. And that was the very basics of the tutorial part. So I'm going to stop this video here, and I'm going to go to start another video on practicing with your gear in VR. I have more gears. I'm starting with a noob character. This character currently has no experience on it, and so what I'm trying to do is to show you what I'm doing to build the character in game. So we're going to go through the VR tutorial next. I appreciate y'all showing up. Now I'm going to get it out of the record mode. I'm hitting my Z, going over here to record. I'm going to hit stop, save. That's going to stop and save this video.